What's something people don't understand until they've been through it themselves? Warning: this video contains sad and emotionally charged topics such as loss, illness, and life's challenges that many people face. I recommend watching this video with the understanding that it may evoke strong emotions. Experiencing the death of someone you love. My wife died in my arms on May 13, 2023 at 6:28 p.m. She was 33. I heard her last breath, saw her eyes empty, felt her go limp. I didn't dream at all the first 4 months after. No nightmares, no dreams. I had to call her family and friends to let them know she had died that evening. From September of last year to May this year, she had lost 70 pounds. She looked like a skeleton, but not to my eyes. She was beautiful, and I told her every single day. She started agonal breathing at 1 a.m. on Saturday the 13th. I administered morphine and Ativan every hour so she wouldn't suffer too much. I played all of her favorite movies, 50 First Dates, Deadpool, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and read her our wedding vows. Her last words were "I love you too." She died 6 hours later. When the funeral home employees came to pick her up that night, they asked me if I wanted to spend some time with her. Before they took her, I couldn't speak. I just shook my head no. She wasn't there anymore. Her mortal cage had opened its door, and she had flown away. Her eyes. I'll never forget her eyes after she had gone. Please, everyone, if something doesn't feel right and the doctor says it's nothing, get a second opinion. Cause Get Degrees and Ali's primary care doctor absolutely murdered her through misdiagnosis. Struggling without anyone or anything to fall back on. Knowing that if one thing goes wrong, I'm in a really tough situation. That there is no safety net. Then watching prices climb and mentally running scenarios of what I'm gonna do in any given situation, all while acting like everything is okay, so I don't pass adult problems onto my son. Parenthood. I really thought that I got it, and that I was prepared. I wasn't a young teen having a kid. I was 30. I've been around and seen enough, and I've had all sorts of pets. I've babysat, I've read stuff. People said you won't understand until you're a parent. And I didn't believe them. I didn't get it until I was doing it. It's a lot more than you can really get until you're in it. That said, I love my kids. One of the reasons it's so draining and tough is because of how deep I care for them. That's something else you don't understand. I love them with a whole different part of my heart I've never loved from before, and it's such a big part that I'm not sure how I never used it before. Makes me love my parents even more now that I really know how they felt about us kids. Cancer. What it really means to go through cancer treatment. I'm going through it now, and I'll die from it anyway, regardless. I'm just kicking the can down the road. No one seems to get it. Lonely place to be. Edit. The other thing that no one seems to grasp is that realism and understanding are not the same as pessimism. I never said I was sad or lacking hope. I'm just willing to look the issue head on without romanticizing it. And without that clarity, I'd be dead by now, because I wouldn't have asked the right questions and fought for the right treatment. This is what I mean when I say it's not something people understand if they haven't been through it. Homelessness. Nothing prepares you for it. No amount of knowledge about resources, street smarts, etc. prepares you for the devastation that is homelessness when you're not mentally ill or high to the hills. You quickly learn all the resources we like to lie to each other about and pretend those lazy bums have are a crock of nonsense. Shelters are dangerous, filthy, abhorrent places, understaffed, and simply don't have the funding to do much good. You can get food assistance, but that's about it. Everything is a waiting game. Rapid rehousing in most of the country isn't rapid. You'll be on a waiting list forever. And when politicians want to save a few bucks or show how fiscally conservative they are, guess whose funding gets cut first? Never mind the trauma of never having privacy, a bathroom, a place to sleep safely, a place to keep any belongings without them being stolen. The constant threat of being robbed in your sleep or assaulted if you're female, or maybe some teens feel like pelting you with eggs, etc. Not having enough money due to unforeseen circumstances. Not every poor person is poor because of their own decisions. Finances are like traffic. You can do everything right on the road and have your life completely flipped by some other reckless driver. I think people who have enough money are completely ignorant to the fact that others don't have enough money. There was a thread recently about the temperature people keep their house over winter, and a lot of people commenting that they keep the house warm because it's healthier, and they don't feel the need to prove they're hard like people who keep it cold. Not an inkling of understanding that most people who don't turn the heat on do it because they simply don't have money. Chronic debilitating illness and disability. How quickly life can change permanently without you doing anything wrong. Most people don't realize that having a body that doesn't hurt and isn't sick is a luxury they should appreciate as much as they can while they still can. Illness and disability can happen to anyone at any time. I'm paraphrasing, but I once read, "The healthy have hundreds of desires, the chronically ill have one." Somehow, that quote was what got me in gear to finally pay attention to my health. Car crashes. So many people say that had to have been really scary. When I've described a car fire that I was in back in 2018 and the car accident that I was in a year ago, I do not have good luck with cars, apparently, but no one realizes that it all transpires so quickly that you don't have time to be scared. It just happens all of a sudden, and you just react accordingly. The gravity of it all doesn't sink in until it's all over. Television and movies like to drag it out for maximum drama, but in real life, it all occurs in an instant, and you don't realize what you just went through until it's over, and you're standing in a place of safety. Losing a child. I had to write an obituary for my 26-year-old daughter a week ago. Seeing my toddler grandson stomp his feet at me, yelling he wants to go home, making the decision to leave her, remains at the funeral home for a little longer, so we could pay an attorney, because some jackass thinks he can get a monthly check for a child he's never been around. I honestly can't believe there is anything in the world that could be worse than the last week. If there is, I don't want to survive it. Losing a parent at a young age. You're not sad because you miss them. You're sad because you were robbed of ever knowing them. Losing your freedom. Until you're on the other side of that wall without your freedom, you'll never truly understand it. Not even as a correctional officer. Sure, you'll understand it way better than the general public, but you still wouldn't have a full understanding of it. I remember the feeling. I wasn't locked up for a crazy long time, but it was 7 months and 28 days. I remember thinking, this is my life now and I shouldn't think about being on the outside, because it'll only make it harder. I didn't do phone calls or write much letters. I just immersed myself in jail life, which for me at that facility was mostly playing spades and working out. I know compared to folks that have done serious prison time, my bid was nothing. It still felt weird when I got out, like I was getting away with something. Just being able to walk down the street at my own choice felt so incredibly weird. How bad toxic people and gaslighting are. The thing about that kind of abuse is that you never feel it like you would physical abuse. I know when I'm being punched. I don't know when I'm being gaslighted. Apparently, there's some science behind the type of betrayal you experience from someone close to you. We have a system for conditional trust like you would for a car salesperson, and unconditional trust for a loved one. It is too taxing for your brain to be constantly conditionally trusting someone. It prefers to unconditionally trust, so it does. What happens is that you rationally know something isn't making sense, but you want to believe your loved one when they say, "I'm doing this for your own good." You just don't understand. I only XYZ you because you made me so angry. So you go on ignoring the red flags and over time end up constantly on edge / walking on eggshells to not set them off. But the thing is, they will go off no matter what you do. I tried explaining this concept to friends, and they really don't understand that just because someone is close to you means they have good intentions for you at all. Depression. Actual clinical diagnosed depression. If I had $1 every time I had to explain to someone it's not just feeling sad, bro, and can get over it just like that, I could retire. I have bipolar disorder type 1 severe manic episodes, followed by very long depressive episodes. Once I came back from the psych unit for the 3rd time, I constantly had to explain to my family I couldn't just choose to be happy or not act out on my impulses. One time a manic episode led to psychosis, and it wasn't until my mental illness started scaring them did they let me treat it medically, without interruption. Addictions. Alcoholism, Drug addiction. I haven't experienced other addictions, but I'd guess they're similar in many ways, affect everyone around the addict, and on a larger scale, society as a whole. Because of this, the addict is vilified, pitied, scapegoated, etc., etc., often deservedly. And yet, as an addict and someone who has heard thousands of other addicts' experiences, I know to the incredible despair, misery, loneliness, horror of being completely out of control of your own actions. It's like a mental illness or straight insanity, and it ruins your life. And because it affects everyone around you, and is also seemingly your own fault, you are riddled with guilt and shame, and a sense of worthlessness and weakness that only serve to make you want to do more of the very thing that is making you feel those things. It's a twisted cycle of pain that is so incredibly difficult to break, let alone maintain once broken. It is a unique and particularly awful and destructive disease. Having real OCD, I used to count everything I did, and everything had to be an even number, except for 6. 6 was a bad number. I had to touch things an even number of times, and start again if I lost count. These whole routines I'd go through, so that none of my family members would have some tragedy befallen on them. I'm on medication now, and seeing people trivially, it is so frustrating. Anxiety, or the anxious feeling of something bad, always feels like it's going to happen, and imagining things before they even happen, and not being able to cope. Anxiety is absolutely vicious. People say that anxiety feels like you're in trouble all the time, and you're being called to principal office every minute of every day. I'll take it a step further and say it's more like you're being marched to your death. How extremely devastating being uncheated is. It's a truly sickening feeling in your gut, and nothing in your life is the same afterward. Some people are never the same ever again. Others take over a decade to go back to normal, but that initial feeling is the worst. The suspicion irons, the adrenaline as the truth unfolds, the severe depression, and the imagination all come together to bring you one of life's most devastating experiences. Share your stories in the comments. Your unique experiences may make a difference in someone else's life. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.